Hey everyone, welcome to this week's
The Fire You Can't Put Out.
Oh man, hey, we're gonna spend like the next 7 years working on that, I'm pretty sure. We have a Facebook page. We have facebook.com/TFYCPO, which stands for
The Fire You Can't Put Out.
All right. So, and we also have a email address, TFYCPO, which stands for
The Fire You Can't Put Out.
at gmail.com. And
or the fire that you cannot put out.
Yeah, this is going to be a mess. So, we have.
So, the fire.
Okay. So, man, it's already pretty weird, right?
No, it's okay.
Okay, so, Facebook, email, what else? Yes, we need to thank the guys at Open Sky Radio. They help us distribute the show, and they gave us a lot of technical help. So thank you, Open Sky Radio. And so this week, just I don't know, let you guys into a little secret. This week is a little messy because we tape it on not the regular time that we usually do the show. So it's kind of, in terms of time, it's kind of messy. So
right.
This whole week has been kind of messy for me, myself. So, yeah, so... if I sound like I'm speaking Cantonese from time to time, you gotta cut me some slack, man. So, okay. All right. Is everybody ready?
Ready.
So let's go into the first topic tonight, which is Benghazi. And it's a very heavy topic because, people actually died. And it is a national security concern. So, but it kind of became a political football that got kicked around. And
that's putting it mildly.
Yeah.
It is an intelligence failure. Yes, it is. And Hagel, I have to say, Hagel was now finally confirmed after all this. But here's I know I should let Angela lead on this, but this story angers me to no end because they're still talking about it. And they're talking about it in the sense of, well, you didn't call it a terrorist act, and you didn't release this information to us, and you didn't release that information to us the second that it happened. And I really don't think they care because they didn't care whenever a terrorist attack happened on Bush's watch. Not that he ever had any.
Right. Just in case everybody forget, Benghazi. Remember that moment during the debate. The presidential debate when Romney thought he got the president on something, as the president didn't say it's a terrorist attack.
That's correct.
And then he gave him that wink or whatever that is, right? He basically gave you that look that some CEO got you into the office and caught you on like a typo, right?
Right.
So and then the president says, proceed,
Candy
Governor.
Crowley.
Yeah. Proceed, Governor. That was beautiful, man.
Oh, that was nice.
So, but that thing has been hanging around since the election. They have been trying to get the president, turn it into an advantage during the election. And now, since that didn't work, now they're going to let that hang around to try to become a problem for the president's nominees. So, Angela, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say Benghazi is just the last in a series of made-up issues. So we have. I think we have to be. I'm sorry. I think we have to be clear here because we're not. I agree with Angela, but I think all three of us can agree. The issue, the incident itself, is not a make-up incident. It really did happen. People did that. Right. Go ahead. Benghazi was really an incident that happened, but it's like, let's say, the third or fourth in how do we hang this president with something.
Right.
And, it started off with the whole birtherism. So I'm sure that our listeners in Hong Kong have heard about this before, where there's this whole conspiracy about how somehow in the 1960s when President Obama was born, there was a great conspiracy to have a birth certificate falsified so he could be president someday.
I think Orly Tate is still running around out there for some reason.
Yeah, but
actually, she's tried to take it to the Supreme Court within the last week or so. which
and
is
even though our Supreme Court is currently kind of a joke, even they go, "Whoa, you're too crazy for us."
thank
Go ahead,
goodness.
Angela.
Well, then there was Obamacare, and they're going to keep coming back on that one. But Obamacare, the overhaul of the medical system in the United States. So, never mind that the Heritage Foundation first came up with this idea. Romney famously put it together for Massachusetts, and it's been very successful. Right. And now, based on that model, we have it for the whole United States. They want to hang him with this is going to cause more of a deficit. It's going to cause more debt. If they don't do the deficit, then they come in with the debt. Right. I even had a discussion with someone this week claiming that the government is going to mandate what kind of health care she can have. Okay, which isn't true.
There's with like the current system.
Yes.
There is really no choice.
Nope.
You have to well, first of all, you have to have insurance anyway.
Yep. Unless you want to be one of those people that we're all paying for.
Right. And then, the insurance company kind of dictate, yes, we can debate, the pool of doctor, the pool of hospital that you can go to is, it's the big or small. We can debate that, but still, big or small, it's not a real choice. It's not like you can walk into any doctor or whatever. If they're not in the same system, sorry, you're out of luck, or you're just paying off your pocket.
Dumping people when they get sick or when they become too costly. And I actually heard Huckabee say this on his radio show or his TV show. I listen to everything via podcast because I watch damn near no TV. But he actually said, hey, if you have cancer and you're paying $100 a month for insurance, you get cancer, your treatments are $15,000 a month. Hey, you can't expect them to pay for that. You can't expect your health insurance to pay for that. Well, you know what? You're right. So we shouldn't have 20,000 different insurance companies because we have 20,000 different pools. Right. And when one person gets sick inside that pool, if you're a part of one of these smaller groups, yeah, it's going to drain. But if we have a single payer system, now, honestly, Huckabee's just being cold because he's cold. I've heard him be colder. But if we have a single national payer, then when one person gets cancer, it won't drain the whole damn pool, and it won't cause everyone's rates to go up.
See what happened? We started with Benghazi, and then
we'll get there.
No,
we're in Obamacare for a minute.
No.
And what I'd like to say is the one thing that this is going to do is right now, if you don't have a lot of money to spend and you don't have an employer who's covering you, then you're right. You don't have a lot of choices.
Right.
You have them dictating what your premium will be, and it's usually extremely high for you to cover you and your children. Right. And the cost to you is far more than the cost to them for spending the money on your care. They're in the business of really making big profits.
Just the time that you have to spend to read all the document, where all the insurance related document. That's already like how many person hour taken. I'm not going to use the word wasted. How many person hour taken there?
It's written in mice type. It's written in lawyer speak. Right. I'm going to be honest. I've never read it cover to cover, but it's helped me fall asleep on quite a few nights.
Right. So, yeah.
So back to Benghazi.
No, wait. One more thing. I'm pretty sure we have a lot of overlap here, as in us and the Daily Show. It's funny to say that, right? But I'm pretty sure people who listen to our show also would probably watch the Daily Show. Last week there was a writer, a journalist on the Daily Show. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but he wrote an article about the medical system, a Time magazine, about our current system, that nothing basically makes sense. The prices of procedures, the prices for resources, the prices for, a syringe or an aspirin or a toilet seat, none of that makes sense.
Right.
So,
Well, the other thing is so just research sometime with a bunch of different hospitals and medical providers. Call them up and say, I have to have a total knee.
Right. I mean, it's almost drive me. It's almost drive.
It's incredible what you'll find out. The different costs.
Right.
There's nothing out there that is the same.
I'm going to be real mean here, but I'm going to say like insurance fraud.
Ooh,
fraud is redundant.
Oh,
insurance is fraud. I like that.
It's redundant.
Sorry,
it's redundant.
So
just clarifying that for folks who may not know what redundant means.
Yeah. So, okay, anyway, I'm sorry. Let's go back to Benghazi. No,
Angela,
when we go back to Benghazi, I don't know if you're going to bring it up, but remember Susan Rice?
Yes.
Susan Rice is actually on the whole, it's one of the things that they use this Benghazi situation as a political football to defeat the president's nomination or agenda, whatever. Because remember, Susan Rice, he was basically handed a thing that was prepared by the intelligence community, which is kind of funny to say too,
Yes.
And she just like went on to, if it is like somebody else, we would have her as the Secretary of State right now, or they would probably find something else, right? But because of that, they just keep hammering her on, she's giving, wrong information on the Sunday talk show, blah, 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 blah. So that's the whole Susan Rice situation. It's basically in the timeline of this Benghazi thing that they're trying to get the president on. What? I don't exactly know.
They're trying to get him on. This was a conspiracy.
Right.
Yep.
That he
is that?
purposely gave out incorrect information when 4 Americans have been killed.
Right.
And they want to, I've heard everything from treason to, whatever you want. Yes.
Right.
Well, and making a punching bag out of women, which is what they did to Susan Rice.
Oh, my God.
She really, I've been following her on Twitter and Facebook for a while. And when that whole thing came up, of course, she was still a class act about the whole thing and didn't get on her Twitter account and start going after her. I can't say a lot of those senators did that. They beat the hell out of her, even on their social networking accounts. And she was a class act about it the whole time. When they started beating up on her, my mind was blown. I thought I had seen the new low, but apparently I hadn't.
Right. I mean,
well, if they could get to her efficiently enough, then they could make the president look bad.
And she's still classy about it.
Oh
I
my
like
gosh.
her. I like
my
her.
Gosh. And then there was a whole thing with Hillary Clinton where some of the right wing nuts said, she had to come out and make a statement or two, and so what she did was fall on her sword for the administration and on and on and on. And really, I like the way she handled it, and we talked about this 3 weeks ago, how she handled it in the hearings.
Right.
And just eviscerated some of the questioners that she had that were so relentless.
Yeah.
With their questions and really so silly with their questions, because you get to a point where does it really matter that we didn't know right away what caused it? It's like she said, okay, so were 3 guys out walking and decided they'd take on the embassy?
Right.
Or was it a terrorist plot? Or were people angry about the video?
They're trying to make something out of nothing.
But the video is part of the cost. The video. Now, who knows what happened on the other side? Who knows? I guess we can eventually everything will come out. But the video, remember the anti-Muslim video?
Yes.
Is part of the cost because that thing has been hanging around. That thing has been there to piss people off over there. And it's pretty, I'm just conjecturing here, but it's pretty easy. It would be pretty easy if somebody wanted to start something over there, right? It's pretty easy to just bring this up. Hey, remember that video? And, that has to be part of it.
Well, it's a very incendiary video.
Right.
And when these things come up, we have to remember it's hardly ever just a single cause. There's multiple causes. And I remember hearing after 9/11, well, they hate us for our freedom. Actually, they don't. They hate us for our Air Force bases in their country.
It's almost like, looking at the Hillary hearings and then the whole thing on Benghazi.
Yeah.
And, a million other things. Like, it's almost like the Republicans are learning how to do things by watching Star Trek 6. Remember the trial?
I don't remember.
The trial is basically, at the end, they try to nail Captain Kirk by saying, well, you have 2 people beam over to the Klingon ship and try to kill people, right? You are the captain. You're responsible for everything that happened on the ship. If the chicken at La King is too salty, during the little banquet, it's your fault. So remember, the chicken at La King is one of the things in the when
yes,
they
of course.
eat together. So
Yes.
So it's like they try to nail Captain Kirk, right? It's kind of like what they're doing with like the president and people like Hillary, as in every little thing that went wrong. Doesn't matter if the State Department is like.
She even got the flu. Do you remember that she got the flu?
And then she
fell,
and they called it the
Benghazi
flu.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, you know what I'm saying?
Basically, they tried to tell us that she's fake having a head injury.
Right. You know what? You know what I'm saying, though. I mean, it's the same thing. Like, isn't it supposed to be responsible? Doesn't matter. The State Department is probably like 100,000, employees strong. That in any they are like probably have like thousands of offices around the world. In any minute, a lot of things can go wrong. Doesn't matter. Whatever. If somebody, went to the bathroom and didn't flush the toilet in an office somewhere in Kazakhstan, it's the president's fault.
They say, hey, someone didn't flush the toilet, and she killed Vince Foster.
So yeah, and she killed Vin Foster. Oh man, you're like going to the way back machine.
Way
over there.
back.
Way back machine.
They've hated her from the day is a set of
but the difference is between
it's distorted.
The difference between the other side, the Republicans, the right wing Republicans in the Senate right now, and the Klingons. What's the difference? The Klingons are honorable. So
I remember whenever
one of them is fictional. So
whenever a tragedy,
Congress.
Whenever a tragedy happened on Bush's watch, or even when it came right up to the surge, the conservatives always love to say, wait until all the information comes out.
Yes.
Once all the information comes out, then we will make a judgment accordingly. Of course, at that point, they would scurry back to their little rooms and start spinning the hell out of it, right. And then they'd come out and they sort of tell you what to think about whatever information came out. Right. So with this Benghazi thing, they go, we didn't get minute by minute, second by second what was happening, and the information that we did get, well, it wasn't all correct. Well, of course it wasn't all correct. You can't ask for that kind of an account. I mean, had we known a terrorist attack was coming, like they sent us a sort of a plan for the night. Here's what we're going to do. At 6:15 we're going to bomb. At 6:16 we're going to shoot you. At 6, I mean, then we could have said, hey, here's what's going to happen tonight. We could have planned for it. But because they didn't get something like that, I mean, when it was happening, we didn't know what was happening until well after it was over and 4 people were dead. And they go,
we had more warning for 9/11.
But
way more warning. That's why Bush was on vacation for that last 3 months before 9/11 happened. That's why he slept on an aircraft carrier.
There's a memo that says like Al Qaeda is going to attack us.
Here's during that time, I started naming all of my emails Bin Laden determined to strike U.S. because I knew that way Bush wouldn't read them.
Right.
And he was reading everybody's. He was reading everyone's. He goes, "Hey, we have to read your emails. We got to make sure you're a terrorist." Well, that's fine. I'll just name them all. Bin Laden determined to strike U.S. I know you don't like to read those.
Bin Laden, determined to bring home some Twinkies.
Before they closed down.
Now, okay, so let's kind of.
So here's the deal. Here's the deal, though. Okay, so you have all of this lack of minute-by-minute information,
right.
And 4 people got killed, and you're talking, by the way, about an ambassador. I did a lot of reading about this ambassador. He was the kind of person who wanted to be out on the street.
He's a good guy.
Right in the middle of the people. He didn't want a lot of protection. Right. He didn't want a lot of security. He wanted to be right there with him. And what happened to him is completely tragic and horrible. But I don't know that having beefed up security would have helped so much in the long run. The man died in the fire in the safe room.
Right. You know,
and then we have all this, minute by minute information supposedly on 911, and we end up going into 2 wars based on a fiction.
Right.
Complete fiction. And how many people died in those 2 wars?
you know, I mean, there could be millions, you know, in Iraq.
We don't know how many people died in Iraq.
We don't know.
Well, yeah, they didn't take an official account. They said, our lowest count is probably 100,000 people dead. At the largest count, it's probably 1.1 million dead. But several million were made into refugees. We do know that.
As long as we're on Iraq, let me bring up something, because a lot of times I don't know why the first Gulf War is being portrayed as a very clean war. It's CNN, it's broadcasting it, it's on TV. Somehow we got, somehow it's because it's on TV, it seems so desensitized. As in, the war is very clean. It's like a lot of horrible things happen. Do you remember the Highway of Death?
Yes.
Yeah, so they got corpses all over the place. These guys just want to get out of town, and then the British and the U.S. just bombed the hell out of the column of cars. Just kill everybody, basically. It's not clean. It's not clean. War is no fun. War is no fun.
War is never clean.
I don't understand what's going on there. So what do you think and by the way, I think some of the Republicans didn't even show up for a daily briefing.
Well, some of the Republicans have distanced themselves from this issue quite strategically because they see where this is headed.
Right.
Nowhere.
So you think what's the next thing? You think they will get any more mileage out of this Benghazi issue?
I think they quit getting mileage out of it a long time ago. No, I think it's done. I really think that they're just beating it into the ground now, while everybody looks on.
Okay, the last thing I wanted to say about Benghazi was actually that they're trying to hang up Brennan's appointment as CIA director.
Right.
Using Benghazi. And it may put the president, in fact, it may put this administration in the position of having to release some more stuff on Benghazi in order to take the heat off Brennan because there's the whole drone thing that comes into the middle of this as well.
Well, well, to be fair though, I mean, the hold up on Brennan is kind of bipartisan.
Yes.
Because I believe the senator from Oregon, it's also trying to slow it down.
Jeff Merkley.
Yeah, Merkley. I keep thinking Wyden is not so.
Wyden is their other one, I believe. I see. When we had 620 here, I used to listen to Merkley talk all the time.
No, I think it's problematic. I think we kind of talked about the drone thing last couple of times. It is problematic, very problematic right now.
Right.
And
yes.
I hope they get more clarity and more transparency right away because in long term, this is going to be a really bad thing for this presidency.
Right. So, Bo on Benghazi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So next topic. Next topic.
It's going to be a big week in the Supreme Court. We were supposed to actually get the decision on the voting rights this week, and by Wednesday it has not come down yet. So we're still waiting on that one. Now, and there's also DOMA. They've decided to take up DOMA. Now, this was really interesting to me. The Advocate, the LBGT website, actually did a story this week about 75 prominent Republicans who have signed a pledge against DOMA.
Right.
Which
do you have the names?
Yes, I do. I have a few names.
Right. Huntsman.
Huntsman's one of them. That's an easy one. Christine Todd Whitman of New Jersey, William Weld of Massachusetts,
Colin Powers.
Meg Whitman, who also ran in California. She used to be the Hewlett-Packard CEO.
Right.
A couple of people who used to work for the Bush administration. There's quite a few. But here's the thing: none of them are running for public office right now.
Huh.
So it's okay to be a Republican who's okay with gay marriage, but you can't do it while you're trying to get the homophobes to vote for you.
Wow, what does that say about the base? You know.
Well, what they have to do to get the base in line is pretty amazing. Now I wanna discuss this alongside voting rights. Right. Now the entire issue with voting rights was brought by an Alabama lawyer, and he said, okay, well the Voting Rights Act said that these 16 southern states, most of them in the South, they have to get approval from the Justice Department before changing any voting procedures or the electoral maps. And so the lawyer, the Alabama lawyer that's arguing the case right now, he's only arguing Section 5. He says Section 5 is outdated. The South has, let me see if I can do this in his voice. The South has changed. We ain't like that anymore. It is dynamic down here, and that is an outdated law. We need to get rid of it. The South is not racist anymore. We do not have those kind of people, and we deserve to do whatever we want, whenever we want, with our voting laws.
Well, Mississippi just
nicely done, Melvin.
Mississippi just rectified the 13th Amendment. So
okay, here's the deal, and we do need to give maybe some of our listeners a little history on this. 1965 is where the Voting Rights Act comes out of, signed by Lyndon Baines Johnson. Wonderful picture this week on the NPR website of Martin Luther King Jr. and Lyndon Johnson talking about the Voting Rights Act in 1965. But this number 5 article of that law says you can't have changes to your voting law suddenly. You can't say, okay, now we're going to require, as started happening in the last election, we're going to require ID. We're going to require this or that from you.
Basically a poll tax.
Well, yeah, it goes back to the Jim Crow law times when states' rights, and that states' rights are part of this, that, okay, we have this law in the books that says everybody's equal, but every state got to enforce what that meant, got to legislate what that meant. And then we had these horrible laws where separate is equal, and the black people can't use the swimming pool that the white people use, and all of the crazy stuff.
It's not
states'
even
rights. States' rights. This is really important because they make states' rights an issue about everything. Now it's become more and more of a well-known fact that when Ronald Reagan began running for president back in the 80s, he gave his very first speech as a candidate seeking the presidency in Philadelphia, Mississippi, a town of about 7,000 people. And he gave that speech in that town because the only thing that town was known for was the fact that several civil rights workers were killed in that town. And he gave a states' rights speech. That's it. There was a movie made called Mississippi Burning about those workers that got killed in that town. Yeah. And so when he got up on that stage in this town that's known for nothing else other than those civil rights workers being killed and was talking about states' rights, they knew exactly what he was talking about.
Right. It's not even a dog whistle thing.
It's not even a dog whistle.
It's out there.
He couldn't have been more blatant if he did it in blackface.
It's out there.
Yeah, so, in blackface. That's a good.
It's not even that technical to kind of screw with other people's voting right. You know, they can always reduce the voting machine, fuss with the hours, and just happen that I guess it's pretty safe to say that people's voting rights got screwed. A lot of times are minorities and poorer people, and guess what? The poorer people, they're poor because mostly because they don't earn enough. By just working full time, right? So if they don't earn enough when they're working full time, that means they have to at least stay there full time, right? In order to not earn enough. So they can't just take a day off and stand in line for 6 hours to vote. That just isn't feasible. So what do they do? Well, you know what? You can either, like our state, Washington, we do all mail in.
And Oregon as well.
Right, which has another set of problem because a lot of times then you have to make sure that you do everything right, you know. But, I have to say, our state is doing this right.
Yes.
Because everything seems cool. And, it's there's a website that update your ballot, your ballot status and everything. So I think our state got it right.
Yes.
They know that they're losing the demographic war right now, and they've already redrawn a lot of the district lines in the blue-leaning states. Right. With the demographic change, they see that eventually they're even going to start losing the South. There's been talk for some time now about how they're gonna lose Texas. Texas is turning more and more blue. That's not going to happen anytime soon. But they see that it's going to happen, so they're saying, you know what? Because of Section 5, we can't change those district lines even. We can't even redistrict down there, so we need to change it now. Start redistricting now before they even get a chance.
Right. Should I even bring up his name?
Go ahead.
Antonin
Bring it up.
Scalia. This just happened today, I believe.
Yes,
right?
it did.
So what he's saying today is Voting Rights Act is a, quote, and I quote, I have to quote this because I'm not that insane.
Yeah, go ahead.
It, quote, perpetuation of racial entitlement, unquote. Really?
It's like a bombshell.
Wait. Okay, even number one, racial entitlement. What are you talking about?
Entitlement is one of those buzzwords, though. Okay.
Right.
Right now, the Republicans are all about entitlements, right?
If you want to know how I feel about racial entitlement, I'm not going to say it, but you know what? Go to YouTube and look up Chris Rock. Okay.
There you go.
Right. That's all I'm going to say. But how can you know what? Really, I mean, we're 9 judges in the Supreme Court, and they decided a lot of things. Right? 1/9 of our judicial branch. Is that insane? Are you kidding me? And he's not the only one, right?
You guys know how John Roberts got his job, don't you? He was one of the lawyers that argued the Bush v. Gore case in front of the Supreme Court.
Yes.
And when he won the case, Bush goes, you know what? When a job comes up, you've got it.
Well, but I got to give him credit because I forgot. Oh, I think it's Obamacare. He did vote it, or
yes.
he did rule in favor of Obamacare.
He was beginning.
So
see that
Roberts
I believe. That was a legacy issue. That was purely a legacy issue because he knew that he was starting to look like king of the scumbags.
Yeah, but
you know what? We've got to do at least one thing.
Roberts can be somewhat reasonable, but Scalia, you can count on him to be totally coming out of the right field.
I'm not his biographer, and I'm gonna assume you're right. I'm sure that Roberts can, but in all of the years that he's been practicing law, I've never ever been able to find any case anywhere, any article written by anybody where he was trying to defend regular folks, people like you and me, or low income folks. He's always argued on the side of multinationals and foreign governments.
You know,
never ever has he argued for regular people.
Speaking of SCOTUS, right?
Right.
I have to say this. You know, during the State of the Union, Ruth Ginsburg, she just doesn't look good at all. I mean, the camera pan over to her. She just doesn't look good. I really worry about her.
She's going to be she's going to be stepping down during this administration.
She looks really foggy. I mean, I don't want to say because I wasn't there and I don't talk to her every day, right? But just by that, 5 seconds of the camera pan over to the justices, she just doesn't look good. She has this kind of blind stare. So I'm like, gosh, this just doesn't good. But I mean, the president can nominate somebody, but guess what? It's going to be a serious fight. Everything the president is going to do, everybody that he's going to nominate, it's going to be a fight. So let's see what's going to. And by the way, next Supreme Court justice, I think it's time for an Asian person.
I do too.
To get the post. How about that dude from Yale Law School? Huh?
There you go.
Anyway.
Sonia Sotomayor.
Yeah.
Challenged his comments today. By the way.
Really?
Asking him, do you think Section 5 was voted for because it was a racial entitlement?
Yeah.
She also asked, do you think racial discrimination has ended?
Right.
This is a woman, of a racial minority on the Supreme Court herself.
See that's her. I would say, are you effing insane?
Yeah.
Have you no shame?
You know who had absolutely zero opinion on this whatsoever? Not that he really does anyway.
Don't tell me, Thomas.
Thomas! Right. Thomas just sat there stone-faced. Yeah. He's just there to collect a check and cast a crappy vote and then go,
Well, you guys know Supreme Court is not televised, right? There's no video record. They don't video. I believe they don't. They're not going to broadcast it. But I guess a video camera is just not allowed in the Supreme Court.
Sure.
That's the case with a lot of courtrooms, actually. So that's kind of standard operating procedure.
Wow.
But
wait a minute. I do remember
the highest court land.
Wait, I do remember looking at Judge Ito a lot. During those times.
Well, like I said, it is with most courtrooms. Judge Ito wanted to be a star. I don't. You know what?
So there are a couple of important things coming down from the Supreme Court: voting right and also DOMA.
Right, a decision on DOMA.
Right. So, any idea what's going to come down on either of those?
On the Voting Rights Act, I was listening to a court clerk talk today, and he said he honestly thinks that with the Voting Rights Act, it's going to come down a classic 5-4 decision, right. Obviously. Right. Voting against the Voting Rights Act. I mean, in most of the decisions, I mean, actually all the decisions coming out of that court have been pretty much 5-4, right. And it's all been 5-4 leaning hard conservative. Right. Now, that doesn't mean that it is. I mean, that's one clerk's opinion, but when I hear it come from somebody who's worked, with the Supreme Court before, I tend to go, ugh, great, they're gonna. And on the day when Rosa Parks got a statue in the Capitol today, first, it's been nothing but old white guys that got those statues, right. And so she's still breaking barriers.
That's awesome. I got to tell you guys a secret.
Yes.
Remember way back, we're going down the Wayback Machine, so a lot of kids probably don't remember this. But when Clarence Thomas, when they were going through the nomination, the hearings, remember Anita Hill? Remember
Anita Hill, right?
Remember the can of Coke, So nobody remember that.
Yeah.
At the time, maybe I was young and stupid, but at the time, I really didn't think he would be this bad. I really thought he would. He seems, they put him through that, and his wife sitting behind him. It's all, it's the whole thing was just almost. It's really ridiculous. The whole thing, whichever side you're on, that whole Clarence Thomas hearing was like insane. Was crazy.
When it was happening, I really was too young, and I remember seeing stuff about the hearings at that time, but didn't actually learn about it until I got a little bit older.
But at that time, Clarence Thomas was, at least my impression, he was very passionate. He defended himself. He seems to really know his stuff, I know he's a conservative, but I didn't know he would be this bad, as in not saying anything at all for years and years. Just sat there.
Wait, you tried to tell a joke the other? Didn't we put that on air? He told a joke and nobody got it?
No. That's like just there's no actual audio record, right? It's just somebody have a
just a court recorder, yeah.
But it's like just really I was not. I don't even think disappointed is the word, because there's no. If you have no hope, there's no disappointment. But I'm like, I have to say, I didn't know he would be this bad, and he will be there for another 20 years.
Yeah, it surprises me, especially him being a minority, how hard he's working against minorities.
I remember watching the hearings, and what I always am going to feel icky about, and that's really not a real word, I guess. But
it is a real word.
But Anita Hill was completely trashed.
Right. That too.
By that hearing.
Right.
And this was a young woman who, actually had this guy came on to her. What's he doing on the Supreme Court in the first place? I've always thought of him as just a real scumbag who made it onto the Supreme Court.
Well, the whole thing was crazy.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if there's actually any we don't even know if any of that actually happened. At least I don't. I remember there was a lot of really crazy thing going on like 20 years ago. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next thing.
All right.
All right.
It's
If you can
your
believe it,
show, man.
Follow up on
if you can believe it, sequestration is still an issue this week.
Are you serious?
Wait,
yeah, well,
Benghazi.
It's gonna all indication looking at it's gonna freaking happen.
No, it's going to happen. There's no two ways about it. It's definitely going to happen because Obama and the Republicans have finally set up another meeting, but it's not until Friday afternoon. The cuts hit Friday at midnight.
Yeah, I don't know how much I can trust the poll, because the poll keeps saying that American public, the majority, thinks that the Republicans are at fault. I don't know how much I don't know how much I can trust that until until things actually really come down.
Right. They do, but see, this isn't going to leave Obama unscathed. I mean, even if they're blaming the Republicans, he's going to take some of the heat for it too. I'm not sure where the general news coverage on this. Like if I watch CBS or one of the terrestrial nightly news channels. Right. They're going, this is both parties' fault. Both parties did this. This is everybody's fault. Blame everybody. Well, it's not.
That's just.
Even though Boehner got 98% of what he asked for.
He got 98% of what he wanted.
Well, that's okay.
And his PowerPoint. It's still Obama's.
Well, everybody's fault. That's lazy journalism right there.
Yes, it is.
Well, they're afraid of seeming too partisan. They said if we point out that this is what the Republicans wanted, then everyone's going to go, see, that's the liberal media.
The Democrats are not without fault. Okay, let's be fair, because we have such weak leadership in charge of the Democratic side.
Harry Reid, please move on.
Because even though this is what the Republicans really wanted, Obama, because it was part of a deal, did have to agree to it, and I think. I'm probably being charitable now, too, that when he agreed to it, he went, there's no way they will crash the economy. There's no way they'll try to send us into a second recession. But he was a young president then, kind of naive, He realizes now, I think, who he's dealing with. Because, 100,000 people lose their jobs. Slowdowns at airports, shutting down some of the smaller airports, veterans not taking care. People are going to notice that.
Right.
That isn't like all of a sudden they're working on the street outside my house and it looks like the workers have taken a day off. No. When you miss your plane, because it takes you 2 or 3 hours to get to the TSA, you'll notice.
Right. Here's the crazy thing. Because a lot of times, yes, there are a lot to keep in mind. But I have found that a lot of our fellow citizens don't really understand what part of their daily life is federal, what part of their daily life is state, what part of their daily life is municipal, is local. What I'm trying to say is, if this sequestration thing happened, something important to that person, to a person, is going to disappear. And right now, that person has no idea what part of it is. They will disappear.
As much as
So when it happens, and a lot of stuff like, last week we talked about this, FDA, inspection, food inspection. Which is like the Hanford thing. Yeah. And the Hanford thing, If Hanford, that's federal. That's Department of Energy. If something goes wrong in Hanford, we're pretty close. You too. You're not getting away.
Right?
Because there's
prevailing winds.
There's a certain river that flow from here to there.
That's correct.
So that kind of stuff. I'm sorry. Well, let me finish this.
Go ahead.
That kind of stuff that. Yes, a lot of times we in our daily lives we're not aware that those would be affected will be a problem when this thing comes down.
Well, Fairchild Air Force Base is going to be affected.
Basically feed Airway Heights,
Yes, feeds Airway Heights.
People arguing for smaller government, they're going to see exactly what smaller government looks like. Now, here's the thing I wanted to bring up to you guys because I wanted to get your opinion. Obviously, when taxes did go up on the rich, and to be fair, they didn't actually go up. The Bush tax cuts just expired. And then the Republicans go, okay, fine, we'll give you something on people over 450,000, but don't go under 450,000 because, whatever. So I was thinking there are other ways of raising revenue that are not necessarily just raising taxes again.
Right.
I'm not sure if you're aware, but North Carolina has a state-run bank. And as a state-run bank, they reap most of the benefits from people that bank with them. That's a great way to make money, and it doesn't have to be the only bank. As a state-run bank, you still have your choice of bank,
Right.
I also like the idea of nationalizing the oil. Once again, hey, we're not raising your taxes, but if we nationalize the oil, those profits will now go to you. Your taxes don't go up. See, when North Carolina, when the crash in 2007 happened, North Carolina barely felt it. Their state kept going. And they don't run deficits, by the way. They never run deficits because they're making plenty of money from that bank. Now, they don't have to be the only game in town, but it just gives people another option. And so for the people that say, hey, we don't like regulation, well, maybe we won't put on regulation. Maybe we'll just put a better option out there, and you'll just get beaten by that better option. Import tariffs. Import tariffs would be another great way to where we wouldn't have to pull money out of our pockets to pay more taxes, and it would bring a whole bunch of jobs home. And then, of course, I still love the idea of the billionaire wealth tax. Hey, I think about this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, Melvin and Kevin, if you think about it, the oil is in the ground.
Right.
And it actually is part of our commons.
It is.
Yeah. So it's a lot of other things.
Tom Hartman would say, yeah, that's part of the commons. Why isn't it nationalized? Why doesn't it belong to all of us?
Well,
really? And I'm sounding like a communist now.
No.
Yeah, see, whenever you say, we should nationalize oil, which I have no problem with, right? Because right now it's kind of the same thing. You know what? Gas prices really is arbitrary. I mean, it's a speculation and blah blah. But whenever you bring it,
we're already heavily subsidized.
But whenever you bring in that, they would like, hey, you want to be like Hugo Chavez,
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, they're getting gasoline for 65 cents a gallon. Right. And the money goes back into their economy. These guys, not only are they reaping billions in profit from us, but we're also subsidizing them. So, with like what I talked about with the depleted oil well allowance that they get,
Right.
I mean, so we're paying for it on both ends. They go, well, gas is $3.85, but back in 1960, it was 65 cents. So considering how the way inflation moves, you think about a candy bar cost back then or a loaf of bread or whatever, the price hasn't really gone up that much. Well, actually it has. Because you're not paying $3.85 a gallon, you're probably paying closer to 5 or 6, maybe even 7. Because we're already subsidizing them.
Right. Well,
and they can blow up an oil well in the Gulf.
Yeah.
And then say, well, gee, that wasn't our fault. Sorry about the fish.
Well, and right now, of course, if you're BP. You get to cost $200 billion in damage and go, you know what? Paying $4.5 billion, it's just a little steep. I don't think we have it in our bank account. Could you lower that a little bit for us?
Sick.
Really, guys? That way, if an oil spill happened, we'd only have ourselves to blame. And if corners were cut, we'd only have ourselves to blame. Because right now, we've got BP to blame, but I don't get to call BP and bitch at them. I don't get to go to their offices and protest. I'll get arrested and hauled off. But if it were my government in charge of the oil, then I've got a voice. They're not going to haul me off then. That's right. And then I can say, you know what, this is partially my fault because I'm the guy who voted for Senator Dirtbag.
Well, first of all, wait, hold on. Wait, you're in the state of Oregon. You don't have a Senator Dirtbag in your state.
No, I don't. I got. Well, no,
we don't have one. We don't have one either.
No, you guys have 2 great
You're looking
senators.
at next door over there.
Now, Kathy McMorris Rogers,
she's a representative.
who's always hanging on boner.
Right, I saw that is unkind, but I saw her a lot recently.
Heard that, huh?
Yes, I saw her a lot recently because she's always there when Boehner is talking.
Oh.
And there's always the canner there, the Boehner and the canner.
And
then
the
Kathy
Kathy
McMorris standing
Rogers.
there. I'm like, well, thanks
It's
for
the dynamic threesome.
I mean, it's make me feel really bad about Spokane because
Thank you for embarrassing the hell out of us.
Yeah. So, well, anyway. So, down the road, sometime during the show, when we're closer to 2014, I hope, we don't get hit by a meteor. I'll get back to that again. But hopefully we'll have a chance to talk about, what can we do to kind of unseat Kathy McMorris, or who do we get, who is on our dream list to, kind of unseat her. So
yeah, we do have to think about that.
I think being seen with Rod, or I'm sorry, Boner, whatever, I can't remember his name. I think being seen with him all the time is already making her look terrible.
Let's hope so.
Well, okay. Any more on this sequestration? It's coming down.
Yeah, go ahead.
I do have one more thing. Tom Hartman mentioned this on his show last week, and that was people from his show tried to contact the air traffic controllers about the sequestration.
Right.
And that air traffic controllers didn't even want to talk to him about it. And I haven't followed up on that. Have either of you followed up on that?
No.
Because the air traffic controllers are being very close to the chest about this whole thing.
Right.
And it just makes me wonder what other shoe has to drop here if we get close to sequestration.
Well, Reagan did fire all of them.
Oh, yeah.
All of them. 11,000 of them.
It doesn't matter. Air traffic controller, doesn't matter. They're not there, fine. Just, hey, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
He wanted to be seen as a union buster, and he was right out of the gate.
This is coming down, so we're hoping for Hail Mary, we're hoping for miracle. This is a lot more dire situation that you have 4 downs to get 5 yards. So let's say back to the 90s again.
Nice, yeah, very good. Yeah,
stuck in my
That was
nice. You did.
Yeah.
Get it in there.
But hopefully, I hope something can happen and I hope something can happen. And that thing would make the president look really good. So, when Hillary runs in, or whoever runs in 2016 is going to point back and say, see?
Hillary and Elizabeth Warren.
See, Hillary is going to run again like Eric Cantor or somebody. Did I just say that?
Yes.
Like,
Ready
remember
for
that?
Hillary.com.
Remember when look at the vice presidential nominee, Kathy McMorris. Remember way back in 2013, she's standing right there with Boehner and Cantor trying to screw everybody.
Well, yeah.
Because that's what they're grooming her for. You know that, right? Kathy McMorris.
I'm just glad they're not grooming that other person.
What other person?
Oh, that other person whose name I can't even say.
All right, don't keep it a secret. I have no idea.
She had her moment on the federal stage. We'll put it that way.
Oh, Sarah Palin.
Oh, you had to say it.
Oh, I thought you said Michelle Bachmann. There are quite a few. Blackburn.
No.
That's another one. Virginia Fox.
Jan Brewer.
Brewer.
Hey, those geese are all cooked. There's those ladies. I mean,
I'm a vegetarian, so
whoever runs against her next year, they should just run ad after ad of pictures of her standing next to Boner on his orangest day.
Him crying.
Yeah.
Him crying.
And use the sound clip where he goes, "The Senate needs to get off their ass," because you know what? That doesn't sound good coming out of anybody's mouth, not even mine. Sorry, you can bleep that out if you have to.
No. It's just it was mentioned in the Bible. It's just
it was, and he said it on the national news, and they didn't bleep it out. But Scott Pelley asked him about it. He goes, "Is that the kind of language you should be using?" And he goes, "Hey," and he gets his finger up in Scott Pelley's face, and he goes, "I had a good meeting with the president. I had a good meeting with the Senate." Okay, really? Because it doesn't sound like it's when you say it through gritted teeth.
There was a former vice president who used the F-bomb on the floor of the Senate.
And shot people in the face, too. So,
well, yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's move on because I'm feeling that negative vibe like last week, as in we all get so frustrated about this sequestration thing because it's a train wreck. There's nothing we can do. Just keep an eye on it. But
keep it in perspective.
Yeah. Okay, you know what? We're at 57 minutes already. Let's go to our dishonorable mentions. Who want to go first?
I can go first.
Go ahead.
All right, you go ahead.
Okay, my very first one is the Spokane County, or actually Spokane City Jail, and the
Never been there.
Police Department, Spokane, Washington. And we had another death in our jail this week. Apparently a local resident, young man in his 30s, diabetic, took methamphetamine. He's had a lot of history of drug problems and a lot of history of just plain problems with the law.
Right.
They put him in a restraining chair. They tasered him, and he was found dead a short time later. I'm bringing this up because, okay, this is like, what, the third or fourth time somebody in this city has been tasered and died.
Right.
And just in recent years. Yeah. Famously, Otto Zim, who was not somebody who had the wherewithal to actually know maybe what was all going on at the time. Right. So, anyway, there we go.
Taser,
that's my first one.
Taser is not totally non-lethal.
No, apparently not.
It does kill people sometimes. It just depends on that person, whether that person has a weak heart or has a heart condition. But it's not non-lethal.
Well, this person had a medical condition.
Just a horrible thought to run, come in however many gigawatts or gigawatts.
When I interviewed with the Spokane Sheriff's Department, they said nobody will carry a taser unless you're willing to take a ride, and you will take a 3 or 4 second ride. What the hell does that mean? You'll be shot with a taser if you want to carry one. That way you'll know exactly. And I don't know if SPD has the same policy. I imagine they don't. But with the Sheriff's Department there in Spokane Valley, they said, we want to let you know exactly what you're going to be doing to people. And most people just choose not to carry tasers. That says something. Right. All right, on to the next one.
Yeah. Angela, you have another one, right?
Okay, you want me to go next? Michael?
Yes.
Michael Goldfarb. Who is Michael Goldfarb, do you ask? I'm glad you asked. Used to be an operative on the McCain and that woman's presidential campaign. Left in disgust when he thought people around McCain and so forth did not have enough respect for them. He has founded a conservative online magazine called the Washington Free Beacon. Now, how does this connect to everything we're talking about? Well, I'm glad you asked that too.
Wait, hold on. The Beacon is free. What kind of big government stuff is this? Anyway, that's stupid.
Go ahead.
The Washington Free Beacon.
This is derailed.
Okay, conservative online magazine. Okay, he on February 14th posted a dispatch about a speech Chuck Hagel, who was struggling to be nominated, gave in 2007. In which it is said he called the State Department an adjunct to the Israeli Foreign Minister's office. Okay? An hour later, on the floor of the Senate, our friend Lindsey Graham of South Carolina urgently cited that statement as another reason to delay Mr. Hagel's nomination as Defense Secretary. Right. Now, this week, there is a great video going around of Senator McCain holding a town hall meeting, and a woman whose son was killed in the Aurora, Colorado massacre in the theater asked him about gun control, and he got right in her face and said, there will be no, you need some straight talk. There will not be any gun control.
Yeah, that was disgusting.
And quite famously, the television station who provided that clip had already edited it before the Rachel Maddow show got their hands on it. So it was edited, and then the Washington Free Beacon came out and said, no, you edited that, you made him look bad. And they re-edited it to make McCain look really good. And if you go to Mediaite, you can actually watch the full thing that is completely unedited, and you can see that the one that Rachel Maddow got actually went through some extemporaneous stuff and got to the real meat of what was going on with his conversation, whereas the Free Beacon tried to dress it up. So today, right, Chuck Hagel was nominated, was actually confirmed as Defense Secretary. Why is this important? And what does it have to do with Mr. Goldfarb? Well, the Pentagon, according to the Free Beacon, was forced to clarify the views of the new Defense Secretary on the United States-India relationship after a Free Beacon report detailing controversial 2011 remarks by Chuck Hagel sparked an international protest. Have you heard anything about an international protest, guys?
No, they always protest.
In India?
No.
India, over the years, financed problems for Pakistan and Afghanistan, Hagel said during a 2011 address on Afghanistan at Oklahoma's Cameron University. Anyway, he is now going after Hagel now that he's already appointed and sworn in. He's going to go back and find remarks and try and make him look bad.
Whatever it takes, basically.
Well, what's really interesting for me is Goldfarb's connection to McCain. Because McCain has been loose, grumpy man. And in the Hagel confirmation hearings, he went after Hagel, who is his friend, former friend, probably now. I mean, he would have taken him by the throat if he could have. And tried to make him look bad. And this guy, Mr. Goldfarb, is the one who is behind some of that, trying to get McCain's little tizzy out there.
Right. I almost think like, John McCain, he hates the president and the Democrats more than the North Vietnamese.
Well, he lost
you know what? I really think McCain at this point is just a cranky old biddy.
That's good.
I mean, he's holding a grudge. I mean, he's lost.
Well,
the
yeah,
election.
of course he is.
I mean, which will be an interesting thing to see. Let's wait 10 years to see at the end who is more bitter, Romney or McCain. What the difference there is. The difference there is McCain at least has a job right now. So
all right, on to the next one.
Someone we should keep our eye on.
Right. One of these operatives that would do a lot of damage.
My first DM for the evening is Carrie Lucas. Now, Carrie Lucas is the managing director of the Independent Women's Forum.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember you mentioned you're going to say something about.
Oh yeah, no. Well, now first and foremost, that's an incredibly misleading name. Now she finds herself. It's the whole independent part because she's regularly on CNBC, Fox News. She goes on radio shows all the time. And she's always saying, most recently, she's saying, you know what? Your kids don't need preschool in America. In America, there is no war on women. Global warming is still being debated. The free market will decide. We don't need gun regulation in America. You know what? It sounds to me an awful lot like she's not independent. She sounds to me like a conservative, and not just any conservative, a teabagging conservative. And bigger and better than that, it's so easy for her to tell us what we need in America because she doesn't live here. Right. She lives in Austria.
Oh my goodness.
Ouch. Right.
And
let's check if they have government run healthcare.
I did some research, and yeah, their government invests heavily in green energy. They get more than 65% of their energy from wind and solar, hydroelectric. And the little bit that they do get from coal and gasoline, it's not subsidized. So that stuff is heavily on its way out.
Right.
But if you ask her about that, she'll tell you that she absolutely hates that. It's just socialism, and it's all Obama's fault.
So many things wrong there.
What's she got to do with anything?
A woman? Well, she has a lot of influence in America right now.
Is she related to Ayn Rand? What?
Well, you would think that. And you know what? Now the Independent Women's Forum, they've got probably 24 women that work for that. I mean, it's a conservative think tank telling the ladies what to think. Okay, but of those 24 women, she's the only one that really does interviews, and some of the other ones do, but not as much. Like, she's the one who's right out in front, and she's saying, you know what, ladies, let's just do whatever the men folk tell us to do. It's just another woman working incredibly hard against the women's movement.
Well, there's
Bill
always
Schlafly living in Austria.
there's
in Austria.
there's so many things wrong there, because what she's advocating, it won't so to speak affect her, because whatever happens here, she's in Austria, she's enjoying whatever it is over there, right? But there's always a niche market for people like that, for women that speak against women's right.
Like Ann Coulter.
Just look at Ann Coulter, and just look at Kathy McMorris. So there is always like a niche market for minorities who says there is no racism. As in the Ted Cruz's of the world. Oh, did I just mention Ted Cruz, man?
Oh, no, okay.
Why the heck? Stop me there, Melvin. TFYCPO. What does that stand for?
The fire you can't put out.
Go.
Okay, let me finish this off real quick. With when she's on Fox and all these other news shows, she articulates her pre-approved right-wing talking points pretty well. But I love when I hear her on Tom Hartman's show, because Tom takes her to task in a big way, and she starts stuttering, and she can barely string together a coherent sentence. All of a sudden, and she won't openly admit it, but when she starts talking with Tom, and her talking points run right into a wall, she can't wait to get off the phone. All right, on to the next one. Jeff Sessions.
Okay, wait. Hold on. There's a technique to this. I mean, some of the people, I don't know if you know this, like Tom Hartman, some of these people, even in Hong Kong, there's another thing we're dealing with right now. That one of the technique of just dealing with interviews like this, that is suddenly people are talking sense to you, is you just keep talking. You just keep talking over the other person, and just keep sprawling your stuff. And I don't know what's a good example of here in the U.S. who does that. I mean, there was a couple of occasions I heard that somebody on Tom Hartman, they just keep talking over Tom Hartman.
Oh yeah. And hello. Hey, is this guy's mic not on? Can you not hear me? Yeah, I hear that quite a bit.
If somebody do that, that person is full of crap.
Yes.
Yep.
Right away.
They don't want to let you get in a word.
Anyway, sorry, man. It's like, okay, your second DM.
It's okay. On to Jeff Sessions. Jeff Sessions this week, he gave it. Now, he's known for doing a lot of terrible, awful, bad things. But he tried to top himself this week. Of course, he went to the Government Accountability Office, the GAO office, as most of us nerds know it, and said, hey, what would Obamacare look like if we took out all of the cost control mechanisms while still maintaining the law? Now, the GAO, when congressmen come to them, they say, what do you want to know? And we'll dig up the numbers for you. They gave him back the numbers, and he went on the floor and he goes, Obamacare is going to cost us $6 trillion over the next number of years. Hey, if you don't argue with me, the GAO said that. But he doesn't tell them that he asked them specifically to take out all the cost control measures, and then he hit the floor with the speech. And over at the GAO, they're just like, are you freaking kidding me? And then people go to the GAO and they go, is what he said right? Yes and no. He asked us to take out the cost control measures. What the hell's wrong with that guy? And then they ask him about it. He goes, hey, what can I say? They're a nonpartisan government office. You gonna argue with them? They're nonpartisan.
It's a setup. It's a setup for pulling things out of context. Not only are they pulling things out of context, they're setting it up now.
Yep. They're setting it up, and they're going, this is just the way things are. Don't argue with the GAO, and don't argue with the egg, the bean counters over there, because they're nonpartisan, you liberal bee.
Okay.
All right, on to the next one. Kevin, it's your turn.
My turn. Okay, I only have
Did anything
one.
Interesting happen this week?
I only have one, and it's very glamorous. Not dishonorable mention.
It's a good one.
All the sparkles and all the golden statue.
Well,
I want to give mine to, and I'm not the only one, to Seth MacFarlane for hosting the Oscar. A lighter moment. Let's talk entertainment a little bit. Well, we kind of know what to expect right? Because the dude has like Family Guy, and I haven't seen the movie, but and I'm not going to. Forget about it. But Ted, his movie, I heard it's pretty bad. It's pretty misogynist, you know. But what can you expect? What can you expect, right? But I gotta say, I gotta confess too. I did not sit through the whole Oscar because I guess I have better things to do, right? 2.5 hours of just sitting there.
4.
Right? No, 2.5. Well, I'm not the pregame. I just have the TV on and
Gotcha.
have
you're not
Christine
watching the red
Chenoweth running all over the place. I kind of like her actually, but I'm like, all right, is it? Well, first of all, this whole thing, Oscars is becoming pretty. Well, okay, well now that Ang Lee won the best director, I don't know if I should say this, but you know what? What the hell? Oscar is becoming kind of a meaningless exercise, at least to me, because the pool of movies considered. It's only English speaking. It's only have everything. It has to have something to do with Hollywood.
There are a lot of mainstream Hollywood.
There are a lot of good stuff going on out there. Just look at the Korean cinema, what they're doing over there. Last year there was an Iranian movie. There are a lot of good stuff going on over there. Now you can argue, the Hong Kong cinema is kind of taking a nosedive, but I don't know about the Chinese cinema too because they're not. I don't think they're top notch. Man, I'm going to get hate mail for this, right? But there are a lot of other good stuff going on. South America. Just visit your local or regional or national film festival. Just check out some of the entries. A lot of them are so much better than some of the stuff that get nominated on an Oscar. For God's sake, Iron Man, please, right? Stuff like that, right? But it's kind of a meaningless exercise anyway, and I just almost throw up at the pregame, the pregame show, right? Because it's like basically just interviewing people and, oh, you look so good. And you're like, oh, shut up. Nobody cares.
Who are you wearing?
Right. Who are you wearing? How much is your gown? Like $50,000 gown?
And you're only going to wear it for a night?
Right.
Oh my
And,
goodness,
basically,
you must be doing well.
And that whole thing, okay, I'm going to be, and not that there's anything wrong with it, but, it's basically becoming who showed the most skin. Who has the strategic, double-sided tape on where? You getting what I'm saying?
Who's showing enough side boob?
You know what? Listen, all that been done. Just watch Star Trek. Shut up. All right? But there.
Now,
right.
wait a minute. What about the song and dance? We saw your boobs.
Yeah, I understand what they're going for there, and because Captain Kirk was overlooking the whole thing, I kind of I let that one go. But the first 5 to 10 minutes, there were a lot of promise there, but it just went downhill. It became kind of stupid, And then I didn't sit through the whole thing, but it just happened. I caught that little joke about Penelope Cruz.
Oh, that sounded really sexy.
There's an article by Amy Davidson in the New Yorker. Actually, I forgot who the other actress are, and there's actually one actor. So basically, have no idea what the hell they're saying, but they just look good. Selma Hayek. What, really?
Yes.
So you can't understand Selma Hayek? Really?
Yeah.
I understand her perfectly. Really? That's a compliment? Really? Number one, that's not a compliment. Number two, that's a horrible thing to say in the year 2013. You're basically going back to they are just a piece of meat.
Yes.
Thing. Which I know a lot of people still thinking, but you know what? That kind of stuff needs to be corrected when it happens. And I just
the little girl.
Right.
9 years old.
There's Onion. There's Onion with the C word thing. That's not Seth MacFarlane.
No, but MacFarlane said to give you an idea of how young she is, it'll be 16 years before she's 12.
Right. That was kind of out of line. That's just horrible. And there is a way to do jokes that isn't like that. You know, just look at, you know, I know it's like I'm old. Go back to I'm old again, but you just look at I Love Lucy. You know, none of their stuff. Well, you can twist it into a kind of suggestive, whatever. But you know, they just.
But you had to think to twist it. Well,
Yes.
now they hired Seth MacFarlane, and then after it was over, they go, "Oh my goodness, I could not believe how dirty he was. I could not believe how raunchy he was. I did not think that he was going to work Blue."
Yeah, but,
which tells me that they didn't bother checking out his TV shows or his movies first.
Yeah, but
Seth MacFarlane has made a living out of not just being misogynistic, but just absolutely appealing to the lowest common denominator.
Right? They know what they ordered. You know, if they order like listen, if you sit down at Denny's and order, liver and onion, you know what that tastes like, okay? So don't call the waiter over and says, how come this doesn't taste like filet mignon? You know, it's just not that. And a lot of other jokes very sexist. You know, the attitude. Well, there are some clever moments in there, as in Meryl Streep. She needs no introduction, and he walked away. You know,
yes.
That's good. You know, that was nice, but there are so many things just And by the way, even like not talking about Seth MacFarlane, that whole format doesn't work anymore. The 3-hour-long show with all the song and dance. I don't know about you guys, but it's just getting kind of tiring, and it's basically becoming who is not going to host this year's Oscar every year. You know, so I don't know. Hopefully somebody creative in Hollywood. Okay.
Cool is it that Jack Nicholson got to introduce Michelle Obama?
Michelle Obama. That's a good moment, but I know the right wing's going to go nuts over
they have already.
That. And of course, the First Lady, stunning.
But, you guys know that was planned out. I mean, about this time last year, they said, hey, whoever the First Lady is, because they planned for it to be Miss Romney as well. They said, hey, whoever the First Lady is, let's have her do this award.
Aren't we glad it wasn't Anne Romney then?
Correct. And so when they had Michelle do it, they went nuts and they go, see, this proves that the liberal elite Hollywood and the Democrats, they're all colluding together. We could have just as easily been Anne Romney.
So that's my DM, but let me ask you guys something. Right? Let's spend a couple minutes on this one. Okay, why, why, well, of course, Ang Lee, I guess I have to say this, he is Chinese, well, arguable, he's American, but we there's a connection there. Connection there. So I'm very proud that he won. Not that, I have anything to do with it, but I'm just glad that, Spielberg, of course, deserved to. Everybody in that category deserved to win. But just happened that Ang Lee is awesomer just by that a little bit. I'm so glad he won.
Yes.
Right? Right? But, Hollywood, have you noticed, like, everything that Hollywood comes up with now, it's like there are no new ideas anymore. There's always this remake. There's always a remake of some, TV shows that nobody even cares about, like from the 70s. Or it's a remake from the movie that was done like 2 years ago. Why are they doing... I don't understand this. Why the hell did they spend so much money and resources and do another rendition of Total Recall? What's the point? What is the point? I don't understand this. Why are we so collectively running out of ideas that we have to run back to the well every time?
Well, they have a ton of money and absolutely nothing to do with it, and people demand movies, so they just kind of make, they said, well, we'll just make whatever we think people want to see. I mean, people like this movie way back in the 60s or the 70s, or this TV show from the 80s. So let's just make a movie out of it.
So just look at international cinema. Just look at movies from other places. They have so many new ideas, good ideas. What the hell happened to Hollywood? I don't understand this. It's either no good idea or it went nowhere. Like M. Night Shyamalan. Last 3 to 5 of his movies just bombed mercilessly. So I don't understand what's going on with the movie industry. I don't. I mean, it's like you go to see a movie. Every trailer you see is like, oh my God. Another one of these? Really? Another one of these? And by the way, let me say this too. Get it on record. Man, you get me on like this, I will never stop. There's a new movie coming out. Gosh, now that I got angry, I don't remember the name. It's basically the White House is taken over by a terrorist, right? What is that movie? Help me out here. There was Olympus Has Fallen, right? I'm like, wow, so cool. Morgan Freeman is, has one of the leading role. And guess what? The villain, they're either like, brown-looking people, and the main villain is an Asian.
Oh, you said something about this week.
Yeah. So Rick Yoon, what the hell are you doing taking this role? I know Asian actors don't get a lot of work, but come on, man, what's up, right? And it's like we're not really. And then Red Dawn, the North Koreans are going to attack Spokane. What's over here? I'm not seeing it. If you're seeing something that's worth being attacked by North Koreans, you need to let me know, because I want to.
They found out that we are the third gayest city
right.
in the States.
Yeah, we have a secret, fourth dimension of the gateway to somewhere, right? But anyway, I'm going to get off this rant, okay? So there's no new ideas in Hollywood anymore. That just really sucks. Any comment on that? Any comment on that?
No, I don't watch many movies anymore. I watch really next to no movies and almost zero television. And yeah, there's really nothing coming out that I particularly care to see.
Right.
Can't even from movies a while ago.
Oh, there are the occasional
watching or reading news.
The occasional good ones.
They're rare.
I heard the Denzel Washington one was very good, but I haven't seen it yet. So
are we talking Flight?
Yeah. But yeah.
John Goodman in that movie is really good. Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to see Lincoln. Do you mind if I finish this off on a lighter note with a little science story?
Oh, please.
I have to tell a ghost story, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Oh, do you want to do the ghost story?
I can save the ghost story for next time. Go ahead with the.
Cool.
With your funny with science.
This is I just love science. So obviously, gas prices have been climbing again in recent weeks, as they always predictably do as we start heading into summer. And pretty much ever since gas prices went over $3 right in the middle of the Bush administration, we've been doing more and more things to start getting into other kinds of fuel to fuel our cars. With hydrogen, vegetable oil, more electric cars. And so as much as I hate the fact that gas prices are raising again, when I drive hundreds of miles a day, it really hits me in my pocketbook. I love when I see things like this. Now, this guy has invented a car that runs on coffee chaff pellets. Now, I'd never heard of those either. Huh? It's the waste created when you roast coffee.
What?
And so his car actually runs on the coffee chaff.
The oily substance are you talking about?
No, they look more like blocks. Okay, so the vehicle uses coffee chaff pellets. The waste product from coffee production. The pellets are heated in a charcoal fire to break them down into carbon monoxide and hydrogen, which is combusted to drive the engine. He just converted a modified, a Ford P100 pickup and got it to go over 65 miles an hour, which is a record for something running on that kind of a fuel. The gas is cooled and filtered before the hydrogen is combusted to drive the engine. And so see, this is, I love seeing things like this. We're innovating more and more. I really believe that at least with the cars that we drive, eventually, say 15, 20 years, we'll get completely off of oil, because with planes though, and with the big rigs, that's gonna be a tougher thing. But if we can at least get our commuter cars off of oil, because see, the number one thing that we export right now is refined petroleum.
Right.
And we export it because we export it because our demand for it has gone so low. With more fuel efficient cars, with more and more electric cars, and then people doing things like this, we're using less and less oil. So they no longer raise the price of oil based on American consumption. It's now based on worldwide consumption. And in places like Asia and Europe, they're using more and more of it. So I mean, so they say, well, if we were to price gas according to what demand is here in America, we'd be pricing it pretty damn cheap, $1 or $2 a gallon. But we don't want to do that. You know, there's money to be made, so they put it on the world market. So obviously this whole thing with the Keystone XL pipeline is an absolute joke, because if we put that in here, it's really coming from Canada. If you go on Trans World Canada's website, it says right there, that oil's not for us. That pipeline's gonna be built, it's gonna go down to Texas, it's gonna be refined, and then it's gonna be shipped out of here. So hey, you know what? Let them go ahead and ship that stuff out of here. In America, we're innovating. We're doing things like this. A car that runs on coffee. Are you freaking
And in the
kidding me?
Pacific Northwest, coffee capital of, you know.
Well, hell yeah, we have tons of coffee waste. Dumping vegetable oil, getting rid of old oil used to be a gigantic problem for restaurants. Now that we have cars that run on it, people show up. They don't have to pay to dump that old oil anymore. Cars show up at the restaurant. They say, we'll take your oil away for nothing. They take it home. They take it in their garage. They filter out all the crap. They run it in their cars. And the town smells like French fries.
It's coffee. Just the coffee I drink is enough for me to drive like a year and a half, you know, for 1 week. So, okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there we go.
Okay.
It's been fun.
At the end, let me tell you guys a secret.
Yes.
I have to Google Channing Tatum.
Do you not know who he is?
I don't know who he is.
Holy
Channing
crap.
Tatum.
I only know who he is because I've seen him pop up on TMZ a few times. I read TMZ because it makes me laugh.
I have no idea. Maybe I shouldn't. Well, then maybe I shouldn't.
Oh,
Okay. See, the show is still going on. Well, then maybe I shouldn't criticize Hollywood that much, because hey, maybe I don't know enough. But, you know.
I don't know that he's that great of an actor. He really gets a lot more buzz for his body than anything.
G.I. Joe.
Sexiest Man Alive. I believe he was the most recent.
G.I. Joe. I didn't see it. They didn't see it.
And they remade
and of course,
21 Jump Street.
Oh.
And that
he was in that.
That whole Sexiest Man Alive thing, I swear they never knock at my damn door. So I know that they're not asking everybody.
Okay. All right, let's wrap up.
All right.
See you guys next week.
See you next week. All right.